This is not a good apple. This apple has been out for a long, long time. I bought this a long time ago. This shouldn't be edible. It is edible, but it's not good. It's not mushy. This has been out, I mean, the glare is terrible. This has been out for a long time, and it's still crunchy and stuff, but like it's so crunchy it has no flavor. That sucks. The effect was there. I'm pulling off the look with the apple, but now I don't care for the apple. But that's how it goes. What can you do? Welcome, everybody, to the Kev Indiana Jones Show. I am your host, Kev Indiana Jones. It is Monday. You know, it's a good thing about Monday is our show. And I say ours because, look at that, man. I'm still not used to the mirror thing. It's our show because it's our show. Yay. Yay, all that. Yay to my YouTube viewers. I got a couple questions, which I'll answer at the end of this episode. So, for those who don't know, once I put this on YouTube, which is the only repost I'll do from now on. I'm not going to be reposting this on Monday. I want more views. I want more interaction on my YouTube stuff because it's better on there than it is on here to get stuff, I feel. So Fridays, it's the only time it's going to be reposted. So once I repost it on Friday, you can ask questions on there, and I'm going to answer them at the end of the episode. It's really fun. I only got 2 for this one, but I love the 2. They're really, really cool. So I'm real happy about that. And thank you all for being here live, of course. You're the best. You're my core audience. You're the ones I care about the most, of course, because you're the ones that are actually watching me make a fool of myself as it happens. I don't really edit stuff out. What's the point? What's the point? I don't believe in editing stuff out with this kind of stuff because you see everything happening. But it's pleasant to have all of you with me, and then hopefully watching on Friday once I post it on there. So yeah, it's been a good week. On Comic-Con, I went on Friday to Comic-Con as Temple of Doom Indy. That was a whole lot of fun. I got to meet a few people for the first time. I got to meet Shauna Kaplan. I got to meet A.G. Locasio. And I got to meet our guest tonight, Chris R., Short Dude Cosplay, who does a whole lot of cosplays, but his indie is incredible. He did Captain America on Friday when we were together, and it was just so cool to see my friend Crusader Jones. Matt also was there as Cap, and I didn't expect that. I thought he was going to be indie, and it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to be the only indie amongst the group, but it also made it a little weird because last year we got mobbed, I tell you, and I kind of missed it a little. I liked being able to get around more and do more stuff, but I did kind of miss it. But anyways, it was a really whole lot of fun. It was a whole lot of fun. I did have a real touching moment with this girl who asked me if she could take a selfie with me. And I said, sure, of course. And she said, my fiance, God rest his soul, Indiana Jones was his favorite character. And I just did my best to not cry. You know, I asked, can I give you a hug? So we hugged, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that. That's just like the sweetest thing. And it must have taken a lot of guts to say something like that, because that can't be easy. That can't be easy. And I was really touched by it. I'm still reeling by the fact that happened. And it was just such a fun time. It was such a fun time. I already can't wait for next year. So that'll be a blast. And hopefully, my guest tonight will be there next year. He is a really good dude. It was my first time meeting him. Right off the bat, I got to tell you, it was just like, we've known each other online, but when you meet people in person, it's really cool, and that just kind of whoop, it happens real quick, and it happened real quick with him. And I do believe he's on, got a good show ahead of us. And if it doesn't happen, you know, obviously we'll spread thin. Maybe this will work this way. I'm just gonna keep on pushing buttons as I always do, because eventually it works. I don't really know if I want to wear this anymore. I feel weird without the hat, so I'm gonna put the hat on. This is the hat I wore on Friday, my Temple of Doom, and this is my Caroline Classic Adventure shirt. This is just a good general Indiana Jones shirt. I feel like it does work for Temple of Doom quite well. All right, so that didn't work. Chris, if you're out there, I have a suggestion of leaving and then coming back. That seems to be the trick a lot of times when people can't come on. So if you just leave the live and then come back on right quick, that ought to work. And if it doesn't, well, we'll figure the fuck it out. We'll figure it out. God damn it. So yeah, it's going to be a real fun show. We're going to be talking about scary stuff in Indiana Jones, and we're going to be talking about scary stuff in something else. I kind of teased it a little before, I think I did.
don't know. I think I did it online, but you know, we'll do it now. We'll talk about it now, and it's going to be something that I'm sure a whole lot of us really like. It's not Indiana Jones based, but it's a whole lot of fun. Water. Good old refreshing water. 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 Um, yeah, we're gonna keep making this a thing. You know, it's weird if someone was able to join immediately. At this point, it would be weird. In the history of the show, if someone were to join the show without any issues, I would be concerned. I would question what might be coming, what asteroid is about to hit. Because if that works, then my God, no, it won't work. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why this is not working. I never do. I never know why this is not working. But usually it does like a little thing, and the quality goes bad, and then you can tell you're connecting. That hasn't happened yet. Oh man. If you can not request to join, I don't know if that's possible on your end to okay, exit and then return. Give that a shot, and then I will request you to join. Um, Hopefully that'll work. Anyways, let's spread thin. Let's spread thin because I'm good at that shit. So yeah, Friday, I arrived. I got a little overwhelmed at first, as usually it does happen, but I just stuck around and just kind of planted in one spot and waited for the others to find, because they were coming from different locations. I was just like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take a picture of this thing. It's pretty. You can see that from a distance. That's where I'll be. So I just stayed there, hanging out, arms against the railing. Some people came up to me, asked for my pictures. It was pretty cool. It was pretty fun, and I really had a good time doing that. Yeah, so that's still in the queue that you were requesting to join before. Yeah, damn this glitch, damn this thing. I only ate one thing, and it was a burrito bowl, and it was quite delicious and pricey, $21. $21 for a burrito bowl at the Comic-Con. Then I got like a drink for $6.50. Yeah, it keeps on doing it. Keeps on doing it. I don't know why. I'm breaking into my Bruce Willis here. All right, so yeah, deny and then that and then that and then this and then this and then go live. Maybe that'll do it. We'll give that a shot. That's a new option I haven't seen. This is so fun for the people watching on YouTube later on because it's just it's like a chess match. It's a chess match between me and this goddamn app. And you know, usually I can win this chess game, even though it kind of sometimes turns into a game of checkers. Yeah, it would be nice if Instagram would fix this. I'm sure they're really invested in this show, so they should get right on it. It's a can't be single to me problem. It can't be. There's no way it can't be. Yeah, it's not working. For fuck's sake. Yeah, you know, I wonder if I leave and then you come back. Maybe that'll do it. I hate to make people come back and join, but you know, it's just a matter of pushing a button, I guess. Who cares? Um, all right, you know, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna come back on, and then I will request ye to join. So, let's see what Madam Ruby sees.
Yeah, I still got the taste of that weird apple in my mouth. Kudos to that apple for having survived for weeks and weeks and weeks without turning into mush, without turning into applesauce on its own. I'm not too sure how that happens, but it happened. It's such an odd.
Press the button, and now it's not working. I'm the one who did it, and now it's not working. You sons of bitches. Oh my God, Instagram. Instagram doesn't like me. I'm starting to think. Oh,
I'm here.
I can't see you. Can you see me?
I can see you.
All right, we'll take it.
Okay.
Fuck it. That's a win. That's a win. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. You can't see me. I've got my hat on, and I've also got my Captain America helmet on, which is, you know, kind of a unique look, but I don't know if I could rock this the entire time we're talking. So I'm gonna take the helmet off.
I can't wait to see it on the replay because I'll be able to see all this once I reshare that. Once I download this again and then replay it on YouTube. But I really thought us being in the same time zone it would work with us, but God damn it, it's not. Why doesn't this happen? Why doesn't it ever work?
I think it's because Facebook bought it. Facebook just, you know, it's the opposite of the Midas touch, I guess.
What would that be called? What's the opposite of the Midas touch?
You're putting a lot of pressure on me.
I know that's a lot of
My
pressure.
wordsmithing abilities.
I can't even think of anything right now. Okay,
Let's. How
Midas,
about the? I was gonna say the Elon touch, but
the Mr. Bean touch.
mm, but he's so
He
likable.
is indeed. Okay, how about this? Sandra Bullock from Gravity Touch.
Okay, it's a good one.
It's she's basically Mr. Bean, but not Mr. Bean in that
There we
movie.
go.
Anyway,
Okay.
so yeah, man, it was so cool meeting you. I love how right off the bat it was just like we knew each other, and I wonder if it's the closest in age
I was
that
about to say, I think, you dropped an unannounced Dumb and Dumber reference, and I was like, I know exactly what that's from. We both saw it in the theater, and so it's, I think people of our age can kind of communicate through that unspoken, little back and forth there.
it's actually true. I've made many deep, long lasting friendships as a result of just like a single movie line
Hmm.
being like, hey, why did you say that? And that's just the beginning of it. And it's just funny how that works. But yeah, it was just really cool how you're able to go. You went 3 days to Comic Con, right?
I did Friday through Sunday.
And you did a different cosplay each day,
I
yes?
mean, I did multiple cosplays every day, just for various photo shoots and just for meeting different celebs. And of course, did the Saturday New York Jones meetup. And I was rushed back from being Logan early in the day for the X-Men shoot, and then was Indy for the afternoon. And to your point earlier about you being mobbed last year with a group of indies, we just hung out in Cosplay Central, and everyone wanted our picture.
Mm.
So we didn't have to walk anywhere; they came to us, and it was very cool. There was a huge group, great to connect with the New York Jones guys, including Alex, meeting for the first time. We even pulled in a random older indie who just happened to be wandering through the area at that exact moment. He's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Dr. Jones, you need to join us."
I saw the picture of that, and I was
Yeah,
like, "Who the hell is this old guy, and why does he rule? Why don't I know who this guy is? I
exactly.
hope he joins the New York Jones thing." But yeah, that looks so damn fun, and I wish I was with you. But Friday was also fun. Friday was his own thing.
We had a great time.
So let's begin with the Kevin 11. I will
Yeah.
say, what was your favorite cosplay to do at Comic Con out of all the ones you did?
Man, it's a good question. So on Friday, the first one that I landed and immediately got to my hotel room and changed into Infinity War Captain America. And it's the reason why I brought that is that it doesn't require the helmet, doesn't require any shields. It's very kind of low maintenance. And I also happened to be meeting Josh Brolin among other people that day for a photo op. And so it kind of worked out perfectly. So that would be probably overall my favorite one. Got a lot of pictures with her, with Elizabeth Olsen, with Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany and Haley Atwell, and so just some really cool memories from that. And it's also what I was wearing when I met up with you and Matt and Shauna, and we did our thing. So a lot of fun stuff. Got to be Daredevil in Times Square for a big night photo shoot that night. Logan the next day, Indy, and then I was planning on doing a character called Muse from who's going to be the villain of the new Daredevil Born Again series on Sunday. But at that point, I was tapped out, tired, just wanted to be comfortable, so I just kind of walked around in my little Magneto was right T-shirt. So
That's fantastic, man.
yeah.
God, that's fantastic. Uh, what response got the best from people, would you say?
It's a good question. I think actually one of the ones that I did that wasn't kind of an official cosplay that I did, but I posted the video earlier today. But I went to Times Square dressed in my white Captain America SSR t-shirts, and that oddly seemed to get the biggest reaction of anything, even though it was literally just a t-shirt and me wearing khakis. So you never can really predict what these things are unless you do something super niche. But it just made me so happy to be able to do that video and that people responded to this very simple t-shirt that was also very comfortable to wear.
I thought it was fucking awesome, man. I thought
Thank
that
you.
was so fucking cool that you did that. But then the picture of you with Josh Brolin
Oh,
also was such a cool little thing to do. And like, are they willing to do fun stuff like that, or do like a lot of them go like, no, let's just smile. I don't want to do
it's
anything fun.
it's really interesting. It's one of it's an odd interaction because you have so little time with them, and so you kind of have to prep in advance of like, okay, if I get up there, what am I going to do? First, don't faint. That was definitely a concern with Elizabeth Olsen, but two, like, is there something unique with the costume and with the kind of the character that you're dressed as, and then what the characters they've played as. And you also can read up a little bit about the reputations they have and their willingness to kind of engage in certain things. The nicest celebrity I've ever met was Deborah Ann Wall from Daredevil, who This striking 6 foot, beautiful woman who's been in a bunch of stuff, True Blood, Daredevil. And she was literally just like, went up and shook everyone's hands like, hi, I'm Deborah Ann. So nice to meet you. What do you want to do in your picture? All the way to some people that are just like, don't make eye contact with you. But everyone this weekend was super cool. Brolin, I was like, can we do the, me trying to stop you from snapping? He's like, what do I do with my hand? I'm like, you were in the movie. I mean, you probably know this better than I do. So they all were totally willing to kind of join the party, and they're actors. They perform for a living, so it helps.
That sounds awesome, man. That's so cool. And
Yeah.
so then you're also a likable fella, so that makes it easier
I appreciate that. Thank you.
to embrace you and do cool stuff. Of all the cosplays you do, if it's possible, which is your favorite one and why?
I knew you were going to ask me this, and it's like choosing between your favorite children in some ways. And I think I have different favorite cosplays for different reasons. I mean, I have probably 5 or 6 different versions of Cap that I do. And so that's the one that I do the most often. And I think of those, probably the stealth suit from Captain America, the Winter Soldier, just kind of that more plain blue one, more of a simple design. It's just such a clean look. I buy all my Cap suits from a company called White Sheep Leather, which is just really, really high quality. I also have my Daredevil kind of maroon or red suit from there too. And so if anyone's looking for any suits from there, that's also where Matt bought his suit. So, very, very well made, very high quality. But, it's also, those are not comfortable to wear either. I mean, that's something that you really can only last in that just a few hours, especially if it's really warm. And I've been dumb enough to wear it, at Dragon Con in Atlanta, late August when it's 100 degrees. Not smart, but it looks amazing. But so I think the overall best balance between looks, badassery and comfort, I mean, probably is indie. I mean, it's just because you can pull off so many different variations of it. My favorite one that I've actually done so far was at Dragon Con this year. I did the kind of damaged Doom look with, the ripped sleeve, the whip marks in the back. Our buddy Kirk, I followed his tutorial on YouTube about how to weather the shirt. So I took one of my What Price Glory shirts and just kind of tore it to hell, did all of the kind of weathering on it. And not only was it cooler to wear it because I was not wearing the jacket, but I also had one sleeve that was missing. And, it was everyone kind of liked it. Just, we had a big Temple of Doom group that came to the big indie. We have a Relic Hunters shoot every year between indie, Tomb Raider, Mummy. We all kind of gather on the stairs for a big shoot. And so
I've seen that. That's right.
A lot of, very cool cosplayer that organizes that, Jennifer, every year. And so some really great pictures that come up. We had a huge Doom group we had a Short Round, we had a Willie, we had a Molaram, a couple of Doom indies. And so we had some great pictures that came out of that.
That's awesome. And the one that you're talking about where you're in the Doom, get like the damaged getup, that's honestly one of my favorite indie cosplay pictures I've ever seen because the hat is just so dead on. Everything is so dead on. And you have this the true look of anger in your face that really is fucking that you're nailing the Indiana Jones, man. Like I sometimes see your shit. I'm like, God damn it. I want to do shit like that.
Well, and say I look at other people's pictures and I think the exact same thing. It's like, like Matt and in indie cosplay and you guys that just like look like and you too. I mean, like you guys that look like Indiana Jones. I'm like, I'm 5'6", I've got no hair. So it's a little harder for me to pull off the Harrison Ford look, but I all credit in that picture to Brian Humphrey, who was the photographer at Dragon Con, who was just capable of some incredible things. And like, I knew it was going to be special when he started moving around the lighting rigs. I mean, like, I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. He positioned my whip just perfectly. I'm like, okay, I'm totally in your hands. So I'm glad I did that.
That's awesome, man. And no, the credit goes to you too. It's not just to the photographer. It goes to you.
That.
Due to the season, let's talk about some horror, scary stuff. Is there a horror character you would ever cosplay as, or if you have or have done it before?
So the great question. Horror is my favorite genre. I don't know how it kind of developed that way, but I mean, I try pretty much every night in October to watch a different horror movie, either something I've never watched before, or even just rewatching like all of the Friday the 13th series or all the Halloween series or something. So it's kind of that mixture of old favorites and new discoveries. So there are a lot of characters I think in horror cosplay that I'd like to do. There's none that I kind of have in the works right now, and um, I'd have to kind of think about what it would be. But I mean, I'm kind of torn again between doing one of the more classic ones, but I feel like a lot of people do that. And some of them are not all that comfortable either. Um,
That's
so I'd
true.
have to think about it. I didn't know you were going to ask me that one, but I, I think maybe if you count it as a horror movie, which I think it's more of a black comedy, but Patrick Bateman from American Psycho again,
Oh,
because it's you could do the raincoat look, you could do the Bateman dance, hand out business cards to people. There's a lot of stuff you could do with it, I guess.
that absolutely can like that's a Halloween movie. I
Oh yeah.
honestly feel like that's an October movie, so that
Okay.
counts. If it's a character in a
All
movie
right.
you watch in October,
Get your seal
that
of
totally
approval.
fucking counts.
Great.
And in his mind, he chainsaws people.
What would you do? What horror cosplay would you do?
That's a good question. I was literally thinking about it as I asked it. I was like, shit, he's gonna ask me that too. Fuck. My instinct goes to my favorite horror character, Freddy Krueger.
Hmm.
Which when I was a little kid, I did that. I think I was like maybe 10 or 11, and I got the deluxe
Oh
fancy
yeah.
kit where you
Yeah.
glue all the latex to your face, and it's actually a pretty decent glove. And like I feel like if I was gonna do a horror character, it would be Freddy Krueger.
Okay.
Because nowadays, I bet you could find some really cool ways to do shit like that.
Oh,
But
I
that,
mean, there were definitely some Freddy's at New York Comic Con. I don't know if you saw any of them, but I mean,
Mhm.
there's the interesting balance with cosplay too is the people who like I don't ever really try to kind of be the character. I do some volunteering with. We have a group called Cosplay Volunteers of Atlanta here, and so we do a lot of events with kids. And so for that, you obviously act as the character, and it's a lot more important for you to like be Captain America or be whoever. But for Comic Cons, it's just more like I'm just dressing like this person, as opposed to there are some people that really try to embody those characters, which can be amazing or it can be super annoying, like when someone thinks that they're Deadpool and they don't have the ability to pull that off. And I think that would be very true with Freddy too, where it's a fine line to walk with Freddy, where you really need you need Robert Englund and you need people writing dialogue for him and not people just kind of spontaneously coming up with their own dialogue that they think something that Freddy would say.
good point. That's a very good point because I did see a dude as Deadpool on Friday at the Comic Con, kind of prancing around on the stairs and like getting someone's face, like doing like a
Yeah.
weird thing, and you could tell the person was like, I don't want this. Why are you doing this to me right now? Like
Yeah, I
you,
mean, at the X-Men shoot, randomly there was a guy that was dressed up as Forrest Gump when he's running across America. And so he had like the long hair, he had the short shorts and everything. But, like he just kept running back and forth like as we were trying to shoot. And someone was just like, "Dude, we get it. You're very funny, but please
yeah,
leave right now, or something's
once
gonna
is
happen."
funny. Once is good.
Right? Yeah,
Once
we
is a
get it.
good one. Yeah. Speaking of horror, let's talk about the scary moments in the indie
Let's do it.
franchise. What do you think is the scariest film of them all?
So,
I think I have an idea.
so it's interesting. So in anticipation of this conversation, I went back and kind of, took some notes myself and rewatched the movies. And Doom, of course, gets the most attention for being the darkest and the scariest. But I think it kind of overlooks Raiders, which, if you start Raiders starts in this dense jungle. You've got scary jungle noises. You've immediately got, your hired help turning on you. You've got spiders. You've got a corpse. You've got this cavern that you have to swing over. You've got poison darts. You've got a giant boulder. And you've got the greatest antagonist of all time. You've got Nazis, and then you leap forward to the end, which is, I mean, it's a bonkers horror movie moment, where the opening of the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, you've got angels or spirits flying around. You've got Nazis being shot through the chest with beams of light. You have faces literally melting off like wax. And the more I thought about it, the more I kind of related it to, there are always rules in horror movies, especially in slasher movies. Don't have sex, don't smoke weed, whatever. Like you're gonna be fine. And it's the same thing at the end of Raiders. Marion, close your eyes. Don't look at it. Don't look at the power of God. And that's exactly what happened. It matches up perfectly with horror. And so, I think the real answer probably is Doom. And I could talk for forever about Doom. I think we talked a little bit on Friday about our shared history with that. But I'm going to vote for Raiders just because I think it's an unexpected answer.
Man, I am so fucking happy you said that because as I was thinking about it, honestly, as a kid, it's the part. It's the one that scared me the most.
Hmm.
Like as I'm thinking about it, give me chills to think about it. I was a little kid listening to the soundtrack, maybe like
Yeah,
4 or 5 years old. I would skip through the Ark theme because it creeps the
it's
shit out of me. It was just it's scary.
John Williams
He
does
adds so
amazing
much.
things
Yep.
with those scores. I mean, in both the first two movies. I mean, like I was talking, I think, with Aussie Indy about the Doom soundtrack, where Williams is going nuts on that score. But it's true with Raiders too, especially the Ark theme.
It's scary, it's creepy, and it's like magical, supernatural, and mysterious. And there's so much going on in just when it's just the simple soft
Hmm.
when that's the one that really creeped me out. But then at the end, the scariest part for me in all the movies when I was a kid was the pretty ghost turning into the scary ghost.
Mm-hmm.
That to me as a kid, I didn't like
It's
that. That really creeped the
beautiful.
shit out of me. It's it's such a beautiful effect. Like once I hit my teen years, I was like, oh my God, this is such an amazing moment. And, you get over the creepy stuff and it all becomes beautiful. I really became a horror fan, maybe like 7, 8 years old. But that stuff really creeped me out. And Temple of Doom, the music during the heart opening
Mm,
part, like when he's being
yeah.
lowered down, that was
Oh,
pretty creepy. But I could deal with it because it was just kind of so bonkos and so wacky that it kind of made it fun. It made it fun in a way. But yeah,
Well,
what do you think?
I would say with Doom though, I think this the scariest thing in some ways is actually is the realist, which is the child slavery
Mm,
aspect of it. I mean, that really hits the hardest because it happens and it's real, and it also I think leads to I think probably my favorite moment in the entire series, which is where Indy's just been woken up from his hypnosis, and Short gives him his hat, and Willie's like, "Let's get out of here!" Right, all of us, and it cuts to that amazing, like maybe one of my favorite shots in all of cinema, that hero shot panning in on Indy from the shadows, and then just like beating the absolute shit out of the thuggy and like sending him across the entire mine. Just so that I think again is the scariest part for me. But there's a lot of stuff that I think is almost intentionally over the top. The bug scene, the dinner scene, all of that, which again like could be interpreted as scary, but I think is also satirical on Spielberg's part.
right, and also, like the spikes close it in on them. That's pretty goddamn creepy
Oh
too.
yeah.
But for me, also, when I was a kid, I wanted to know: does that kid that gives him the Sankara cloth, the Sanskrit cloth, does he die? Does he live? Like, what happened to that kid? Because like right off the bat, you see you
Right.
see a little kid, innocent kid. He might be dead at this point. We never really see him. That kind of right off the bat, you're like, fuck, like this movie is kind of going in a different direction.
Yeah, Raji, I think is it was, but yeah, it's again, I think we talked about like I grew up primarily with Doom, like
Mhm.
that was what built my foundation of indie because I was not old enough to have seen Raiders in theaters, I was not old enough to have seen Doom in the theaters, but I grew up just wearing out a VHS of Doom, then watched Raiders, and then saw Last Crusade in the theater. And so again, that formed that basis of what indie was like for me. And so weirdly, I did watch them in chronological order because of that. Because obviously Doom was a prequel, but I liked that kind of darker foundation that Doom laid for the series, and I liked that Indy was a little bit more of that almost Han Solo-esque rogue, Fortune and Glory stuff, which then he grew beyond that in Raiders and Last Crusade.
That's awesome that you got to experience it that way. That's actually really, really cool. Um, what would you say as you were a kid watching these movies? What was the scariest part for you?
Great question. I think maybe because it was the first one I saw in the theaters, I think the scene at the toward the end of Crusade where Donovan drinks from the false grail, and what's happening to me, and he grabs onto Allison Duty, and she's screaming, and he is immediately turning into this dusty skeleton. And again, Spielberg is just such a master with the way he films that, and it looks so amazing because it's all practical effects. And that was something I actually, in kind of rewatching all the films, one of the reasons why the scarier moment of Crystal Skull of the ants eating I don't even remember his name, the anonymous Soviet henchman. It didn't look scary because it was all CGI, and Donovan turning to dust into a skeleton, followed by that amazing dust blowing off the Nazi pin shot. Like it's just that scared me because again it was like it felt more real, and for some reason it was just it felt like it's something that could happen, and so I don't know why it hit me harder than anything in Doom did.
There's a level of realism with CGI that it reaches a plateau.
Mm-hmm.
And with real stuff, like you can see the dust. You can almost breathe in the dust that he's
Mm-hmm.
turning into, for crying out loud. It
Yeah.
looks real because it is real. And that adds so much to it. Of all the shit that Indy went through, and he's been through a lot of fucked up shit, what do you think is the thing that like flashes through his mind the most as he's falling asleep? Like, oh, I can't believe I saw that.
Whatever happened with him and Willie, like that was like, ugh, what happened there? But horror wise, I'm not really sure. I think my favorite podcast is something called We Hate Movies. It's a New York based podcast, and they've covered, I think, all of the first trilogy episodes at this point. And one of the things they bring up is that if you go through what Indy goes through in each one of the movies, like you basically have to change religions after each one of these adventures. It's like, okay, I experienced Temple of Doom. Like, I guess, I'm Hindu, and now I'm go through Raiders, and I guess now I'm Jewish. And so he probably it's kind of like I really liked Destiny a lot. Like, I think it was a perfect kind of capper to the series. It was a nice way to kind of redeem what happened in Crystal Skull. And I guess I don't remember the exact line from Destiny, but something like, it's not about what you believe, but how hard you believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think ultimately what he believed in was history. He believed in, what people do over time. And it's why I think it moved him so much to actually see Archimedes and see all these things that he had been studying his entire life. So I think even though it happened at the end of his life, I think that's what maybe will stick with him the hardest and the longest, is seeing history in action. I mean, and like you see it in that scene where he's like kind of laying down, and like I think it's that and maybe when Henry Sr. is about to die, like those are the closest that he comes to crying or to kind of breaking down, is like this guy who is unbreakable, who has gone through so much in his life. Like, he has these moments where he looks the most human.
Beautifully said. That's actually very, very true. And I wonder, was that on purpose for them to show him so vulnerable in that moment? Not just because he was shot, but he was like what he was witnessing. Really, like there's almost a look of terror on his face when he first sees where he's looking around, and then eventually he's like, wait, oh my God, I'm in what I've talked about, and then he falls in love with it. But you're right, that would be kind of a moment that would definitely stick with you for sure, even if he's later on in life. Why do you think it is that all these scary moments and like horror twinges fit so well in a franchise that's like known for like being fun and adventure and like action? Why do you think it fits so well with Indiana Jones?
I think part of it is that Spielberg is, if not our greatest filmmaker ever, I think he is, up there probably in the top 3 or 5, just in terms of his ability to balance different genres and ability to kind of express the human experience on screen. And part of that is life is scary. And we go through scary things in life, and sometimes it is kind of over the top scary, but we also need things to scare us. That's, I think, one of the reasons why we're drawn to horror as a genre, is that rather than experiencing the most terrifying things ourselves, we kind of live vicariously through what we watch on screen. And so I think the Indiana Jones series is, on one hand, very grounded. This is a professor who adventures the world, like, has his PhD, and he teaches classes. And so he has this very human side of him. But then he has this other, almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing, where he has this other side of his personality, where he goes off and does almost superhuman things, but things that are also a real human most of the time could do, other than maybe surviving a nuclear explosion. So that maybe is why horror fits so well. I think you have to maybe also associate some of the religious elements with the horror aspects of it. Religion is a wonderful thing. It's a very positive thing, but I think it's also can be very scary. And I think even if you look at the differences in, me as a Christian, like Old Testament versus New Testament, like Old Testament, as in Ghostbusters, Old Testament, real wrath of God type stuff. You have that version of God, and then you have the kind of the newer version of God in the New Testament, who is, much more about justice and much more about mercy. And so I think in all of those aspects, the way it's portrayed in the Indy series, you have religion more of the kind of that Old Testament style of religion, of like God or any deity that you're talking about could be pretty scary, especially because we don't understand this deity or this entity.
Or its
That may kind
power.
of feed into it. Yeah, exactly.
That's one of the best answers I've gotten on the
Oh,
show,
thank
man.
you.
Fantastic, beautifully said. And you know that all fits. It all fits. You know, you have those pulse pounding moments, and it would fit that horror would go just along with like a swing over a bridge or anything like that. You know, speaking of things that tend to be fun, but also go a little scary every now and then. Let's talk about something I know is near and dear to us: the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror.
Let's do it.
I know that when I was a kid, it was one of the biggest things of the year because it really marked the, oh, it's Halloween and we're doing it. This is it. How much did you look forward to it every year as a kid?
So The Simpsons raised me basically. You know, there was a conflict in my house where my mom did not want me to watch The Simpsons. She thought it was disrespectful. Is her disrespectful is what she called it. And my dad kind of talked to her, and she's like, because he watched it himself, and he was like, no, it's actually really well written, and it's actually very pro family, very respectful. And so she relented, and I finally started watching, and it was The Simpsons is, you know, one of the biggest parts of my life in terms of forming who I am, forming my sense of humor, my personality, you know, forming all of these references. Like, you know, it Simpsons touches upon everything, and it references so many things that go so far beyond immediate what's happening, and things that I didn't even understand until years down the road, even till my like 20s, 30s, now 40s. And
Yep. Yep.
with Treehouse of Horror, I'm like, I've been rewatching it over the last week again in anticipation of this, and what it balances so well is, I think, one of my favorite genres of horror is the anthology horror. You know, very short stories, both in written horror and in movie horror. Is, I think, horror works best in small doses, and in small. I mean, Twilight Zone, I mean, is science fiction, but I think it's also, there's a lot of horror in it also. And Simpsons capture that also, where they're not having to sustain a story over 25 minutes. You got these like 7-8 minute blocks where you can just pack as many jokes into them as possible. You can really streamline them. Literally, like a half hour before we were talking, I was watching my favorite Treehouse of Horror, which is the one with the shinning, and where it's just like hit after hit after hit, and it's just like, I think the shinning is probably the best individual segment they've done. The Shining is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and so one, I have that existing connection where, like, you already have hooked me because you're talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, but then you're going and you're adding all these other elements onto it, where you have Homer, you know, breaking down a door, and David Letterman, hi David, I'm Grandpa, you know, and then again, just all these little things where, you know, is Dad going to murder us? I don't know. We'll just have to see. You know, just there's no weak moment in that individual one. But you're right. Like, I think, I believe from when the series began, there were at least maybe 3 or 4 episodes that would be scheduled before that. So sometime probably in, I guess, September, early October. But I think the way they do it now, I haven't watched The Simpsons, you know, on a weekly basis in 20 years. But I think now, actually, Treehouse of Horror is usually one of the first episodes that they do every year. And so I think that maybe for, if there's a new generation that's watching The Simpsons, for them, like, Treehouse of Horror literally is the season premiere. It's what, you know, starts the year for The Simpsons. But for me, again, it was something that, it's a nice little break where, like, none of the episodes are really canon. You don't have to worry about, like, what happens in those kind of impacting. I mean, nothing is permanent on The Simpsons, obviously, but it is a nice little break where it allows the writers to really show all the references that kind of form their own personalities and their own senses of culture. But what was your experience with those Treehouse of Horror, and maybe kind of how those fit into the rest of the episodes?
Well, it was always so cool to see them go after movies that I didn't know, I hadn't seen before. Like, I've never seen The Shining at the time. It was years and years and years later when I finally saw The Shining. And it's just like you said, all these jokes become something else once you get older and you learn all these things. And I'm actually, as a matter of fact, watching The Shining tonight.
Nice.
'Cause that is also one of my favorite Halloween movies. But for me, it was always a big deal because you got to see them kind of take chances. You got to see them kind of like get a little gory, like chop things off, like people's heads would get cut off, and things would get nuts. And it was always just so fun to see. Like, for me personally, my favorite one The Shining is close, but for me, I shit, I can't even remember what the hell one it's called, but it's the one with the evil
Oh
Krusty doll with the monkey
yeah.
paw, the monkey paw
You
one.
have this doll set on evil.
That's exactly what man. I was just, that's my. I think that's my favorite quote in all the Simpsons. Oh, here's your problem. Someone set this thing to evil. Like I love you, Homer. And oh my god, it's just so
Yeah,
brilliant.
dogs love burying old junk.
I gotta watch that tonight. But yeah, for me, it was just such a cool thing that they would take a chance on that, and they usually had general dark moments in the show as it was to begin with, but to see characters that we know and love get mutilated and just like shit like that. Why do you think that they took that chance in those episodes? Because it was a while ago they started that, and this
Oh
was
yeah.
at a time where cartoons didn't do stuff like that.
I think it may have started in season 3. I'm trying to remember
Okay.
from when my rewatch started if it was that one or season 2. But yeah, I think again some of it comes down to just the writers themselves and what they were inspired by. And I think they were all, horror geeks, or at the very least like Twilight Zone geeks to a certain extent. Where like that they had grown up watching that in the 60s and 70s, and then they got to a point where like now we're writing a TV series. What do we write about? Oh, well, we know the Twilight Zone. We know. I think even a show that I loved watching. Like I was unemployed for a period of time. I think like in like 2008 or so, and like my daily ritual was like I'm gonna watch Tales from the Dark Side, which is this
Mm.
amazing anthology horror TV series. And Friday the 13th also had a similar one,
Yep.
but I think that was in the 80s. And so like I'm sure they watch all of those series of just like what can we do with this very short period of time. And I think it's actually a nice challenge for a writer where it's like, okay, there's a certain way you tell a story over 25 minutes or a half hour, or even if you're doing an hour over 50 minutes or whatever. But it's much harder, I think, to kind of tell that very concise story in 7 or 8 minutes. So I think they're maybe more drawn to like, okay, we've got an idea. Can we tell it in this really, really short form and scare people at the same time, but also throw as many references to things that we've always wanted to talk about, um, and not worry about it impacting how people see the characters or what one of the ones I was just watching was the one where I forgot the name of it, but like the one where like at Springfield Elementary they're like cooking and eating all of the kids. It's
Oh.
like you might just say we ate Uter and he's in our stomachs right now. Like obviously Principal Skinner is not a cannibal most of the time, but he gets to be in this one episode. So it
Right.
allows them to kind of play around with what we know about the characters and then kind of having different takes on them probably.
God, you're making me want to watch all these right now.
I
What
know.
would you say the actually scariest thing? Because there have been actual scary moments in some of these episodes. What would you say the scariest thing Treehouse of Horror has done?
That's a great question. The scariest thing it's ever done. I don't know. I mean, because it's in some ways it's hard to separate out the references they're making. Where like the references, the original movie itself may have been scary, like the Lost Boys one, where you have it's Bart or whoever like turns into vampires and they appear outside of your window. Like obviously a Lost Boys reference. So like on certain level, to 8 or 9 or 10-year-old me, like yeah, that's scary. The idea of someone like floating outside of your window and wanting to suck your blood. I don't know if there's anything that necessarily jumps out as like something that scared me. Like I know you're also a Pee Wee fan, because I know you've made many references to it. But like Large Marge, like Pee Wee's Big Adventure is like one of my favorite movies of all time. And like, yeah, I was terrified by Large Marge when I was growing up, even though it was inherently very
Right.
silly. I just can't think of anything else from Simpsons off the top of my head. But how about for you? Was there anything that kind of stood out?
For me, it's still when I go back and watch it, like my heart goes a bit like, oh, that's kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one where basically groundskeeper Willie is Freddy Krueger,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a part when he's rising out of the sandbox as the bagpipe,
All right.
and just the way they did that
Mm-hmm.
shot with the old style animation of actual handwritten, hand drawn animation. There's something like to me, it's like viscerally kind of
Mm-hmm.
terrifying about this thing just popping up, and it's just eyes are just right there, and they have no idea he's there. It's like an actual, for me, they kind of went for
Oh
a
yeah.
scary moment there. And I know when I was a kid, I was like, oh, this is actually fucking scary.
Well, and it showed that they actually understood Freddy, because like that is exactly a gag that they would do in the Friday the 13th series, especially as it became kind of more campy as it went along, and Freddy would, become all these different objects and bugs and turn into all kinds of other things. And so, yeah, like again, it shows that they grew up watching those Friday the 13th or the Nightmare movies and wanting to say like, okay, now that we have the venue to do this, let's do our own version of it, make it scary.
Exactly. Would you say you are a Kang or Kodos fan?
I don't even know if I know the difference, to be honest with you, but I do know that the episode they did in '96 before the presidential election was one of my favorites of all time. Where it's twirling, twirling, twirling toward freedom. That's Slick Willie. Always with the what does he say? Always with the I was going to say something talk. But it's like if you could think of better ways for us to exchange long protein strands, I'd like to hear it. I like both of them. How about that? That's my answer.
I can't remember the line, but it's like vote for him or don't. It doesn't matter. You'll lose either way, or something like that.
I think it's also where they cut to Ross Perot in the stands, like, "Go ahead, throw your vote away."
That's right. Oh my God. If you could believe it, that's all 11 questions.
Okay.
We kind of flew through that real quick, but I got one more question that I want to ask. Besides meeting me, what would you say the best part of going to Comic-Con in New York was?
So it's funny. I literally just posted about this a few hours ago, but it's the people. It's especially the friends that I meet, and you're absolutely included in this. But there's so many people, some that I had kind of pre-existing relationships with or had met before at Dragon Con or other cons, but a lot that I had met for the first time at New York Comic Con, just because it is such a huge con. I think I tend to have a lot more friends that are in kind of the Northeast area in the cosplay world, but you kind of build up these ideas in your mind of like what a certain person is going to be like and what their personality is like, and then either they are exactly that in person, or they are something completely different, but like just as equally amazing in person also. But I think you have like a two-dimensional version of a person, then they become fully three-dimensional when you actually meet them in person. And so little nuances too, like meeting Matt and like hearing his amazing New York accent all over again. It's just like those are the things like I know there's little things I live for at cons, where especially then you get to look forward to meeting them again and again, and we get to do things like this, and I get to look forward to going back to New York Comic Con and meeting people at future cons too, and just it is a very supportive community in general. But I think what hit home for me was how incredibly supportive the indie community in particular is. Probably my favorite of all the communities I'm a part of, where there's no judgment, there's no exclusion, there's no gatekeeping at all. And actually, it was one of my favorite interviews you've done was with Tasha a few weeks ago, when she was talking about how, like, have you ever faced any gatekeeping for being a woman? No, not at all. Like, and I think that kind of sums it up perfectly. That no matter, like, you don't have to have the perfect hat, you don't have to buy Adams shirts. Or the like vintage leather bag straps to be an indie cosplayer. Like, wear whatever you want. Like, indie is all about like the spirit of it. It's about treating people a certain way. It's about inclusion. It's about adventuring and bringing people into our great circle.
Beautifully said, man. God damn, that's beautifully said. It was honestly cool to see when we were all just hanging out in that one spot for a while. I think I saw 2 or 3 people that you hadn't met before, and you actually met them in person. That made it maybe throughout the course of the time we were together, and it was just so awesome. And it made me be like, I felt kind of jealous, because I was like, boy, I wish people would just come up and be like, hey, it's me, it's you. Those kind of moments would look so beautiful, and I could see the happiness on both of your faces when it would occur. And it's a sign of how good you are at this, and how pleasant it is to see you do all this, and how good a guy you are also, most importantly, because it wouldn't happen if you weren't a good guy, and you are a good guy. You're a very good guy, and meeting you was so awesome, and I'm so glad that got to happen, and I'm so glad you were my guest this week.
Thank you so much for having me. This is, I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
This has been one of my favorites already, because we didn't get a whole lot of time to talk on Friday, so I'm glad that we got this, and we will definitely talk again, and I hope to see you again at some point, if not at the next Comic-Con, maybe before that.
I'll be back to New York, and we can just talk Justin Dumb and Dumber quotes or whatever you want to do when we're there.
Just go, man. Just go.
Why are you
That's
going to the
really
airport?
warm.
Why are you going to the airport? Flying somewhere?
I can do that. I can do that. Oh my God. I used to work at Target, and that was the saying for all team members. I can do that. Anyways, man, you're the best. It's so
Thank
good
you.
talking to you.
Thanks,
I
Kevin.
can't wait to see you again someday, and have a great night, man. Thank you so
too.
much.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. Oh boy, that was awesome. Yeah, I met him Friday, and it was like I said, the best part of it. Meeting folks, like he said, it's the best part of it. Getting pictures taken, getting admired. It's pretty damn cool. It's really, really fun. But the people themselves are really the reason that we do all this and continue to do it. Beyond, for most of us, I'm sure we start as Halloween costumes, and I'm wondering if people watching this now are perhaps contemplating doing Indiana Jones for Halloween. And I can't tell you enough. Yeah, do it. Please do it. And if it gets you interested, please join this. Please join us. I think I've said it before. There's a line from my favorite show, Mystery Science Theater 3000. The behind the scenes. They were asking the creator, "How did you know that people would even watch this? Why would people watch this?" And his answer has really informed the hell out of this show. The right people will get it, and I feel like the right people have gotten it, and it humbles me to have you all watching. It humbles me to have an audience of peers that are all over the world, all different ages, all different races, and it's just incredible that a character that we grew up watching or maybe just recently discovered can connect people like this. And there's a magic to character, there's a magic to fiction, and I love it so damn much. I love all this so damn much, and I love you all so much. And I really appreciate Chris for joining. And I really recommend you check out his page, Dude Cosplay, because those pictures he takes are badass. What a guy. So yeah, on to the segment, questions from YouTube. This is a new segment, and I really was looking forward to doing this, as a matter of fact, because once I saw the questions, I thought, shit, these are pretty damn good questions. I got two. Our first one comes from a guy I actually got to hang out with in California on my trip in August. For a couple days, we went up to the mountains. I got to know this guy beyond just typing and seeing on video, and he's even better in person. He's even better in person. Kirk Brackman asked the first question of the questions from YouTube segment. And he asks, when have I felt the most indie while in gear? And I had to whittle this down. I had three, but I want to just get through the show because, this has been, I want to keep it under an hour, keep your interest going. But honestly, as I just mentioned, I went to the California mountains with these guys, and there was a point when everyone was kind of doing their own thing. I was off on my own. I often kind of tend to do that. I kind of go off and do my own thing a lot of times, and I'm just built that way. But we were together for most of the time. But sometimes I'll just go off on my own. And there's a moment as I'm in gear, full gear, Indiana Jones. What else would it be? I'm in full fire department gear. Because I figured going to the mountain at high altitude in fire department gear would be good training. But no, I was at the top of the mountain, and nothing, no one around, nothing. Maybe a bird flying in the sky, and I just kind of stood there in the pose. My arms on my hips, and I just breathed in and breathed out, and I started to get a little emotional because it was just such a moment where I was surrounded by this vista of beauty that I didn't expect to see anytime soon. I never thought I'd go back to California, but it was one of those things where I did it to have the moment, basically. I kind of knew I needed to have that moment because, if you haven't watched the show or don't know any history about me, my time in California 20 years ago didn't end well, and it's hung on my shoulders since. And it's always been a part of me. But that moment to myself at the top of the mountain in Indiana Jones gear, just surrounded by beauty, I felt it. I felt it go away. I felt it go away in the wind. I felt it disappear. And that moment alone, that's when I started to cheer up, and I realized I did it. I did it. California, I did it. I came back. How about that? How about that? And that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Indiana Jones and cosplay. And just the fact that I was wearing the gear in that moment what better moment could I ever have? Honestly, it was really, really quite beautiful. It was really quite beautiful. Thanks for that question, Kirk. I'll never forget that moment. But boy, all the moments with all of you guys when we were watching the sunset, that's damn close. That was damn close. And actually standing by all those rocks and taking pictures and shit, that was really, really fun. That was really fun. I've had good moments, and you know, here's to more. Here's to more. My second question comes from a great guy I got to know over the past couple months, Joshua Leonardville. Josh asks, is there anywhere in the continental U.S. Where in the continental U.S. would I want to visit for a dream indie photo shoot? And that got me thinking. I didn't have a quick answer to that, but the more I thought about it, I realized, wait, I have asked this kind of question before, and I've always wanted someone to ask me that, and I didn't realize I didn't have an answer. And I'm seeing now I didn't write one down because I don't have an answer. But the thing that pops into my head oddly, the Everglades, which is, it's as jungle as you get in the continental U.S., and it would be a fool's errand. You'd be a fool to want to wear any of this, even just this without the jacket. You'd be fucking sweating your ass off. You lose like 5-10 pounds. 5-10 pounds just sweat. And that wouldn't be fun. That wouldn't be fun at all. But the vista, the locale, that would be beautiful to see. That would be really beautiful to see. So I think, yeah, the Everglades, it would suck, but it would look very, very indie, especially if there's like an alligator in the background. And of course there would, because it's the Everglades. Being from Florida, I drive down Alligator Alley, going from Tampa to Miami. And yeah, Alligator Alley, there's indeed alligators all over the place. So you'd see alligators. It would be fun. You don't want to wrestle. Well, maybe Kirk would. I'm sure Kirk would. Kirk would kick an alligator's ass, I'd stand up against an alligator if he's going after a dog or something like that. But yeah, Colorado would definitely be a backup answer because all the pictures I see are just beautiful. I've never been there either. And the mountains, the Purple Mountains Majesty, my goodness, they look wonderful. They look gorgeous. Gorgeous. So yeah, thank you for those questions. Please, once this goes on YouTube on Friday, ask me more questions. I really, really love this. This is really, really fun to answer questions instead of asking them all the time. I like it quite a bit. So yeah, what a wonderful episode this was. Very, very fun. I knew it would be, but next week, it might not be as fun. It's not going to be bad. It's not going to be depressing, but it's going to be a different type of episode. I like to focus on the positive stuff, but there's another side to all this. And as the saying goes, you cannot have the light without the dark. So we do need to talk about the dark. And so my dear friend Caleb Knopf is going to join me once again on the show. We're going to talk about the dark side of cosplay. There's good to this, but we all know there's bad to it, and we need to address it. And we're going to next week, and it's going to be very fun to actually talk about it. Maybe not fun to actually talk about, but it's going to be fun to hear this kind of shit, because rarely do you hear this kind of shit, and I really have some good stuff I want to talk about, and I hope you all tune in next Monday for that. It's going to be a really, really good time. There's stuff I've learned through doing all this. There's stuff I've seen people learn, and I feel like maybe we can help other people learn as well. And if that's not the point of all this, I don't know what there is. I don't know. It's not just entertainment. I want people to learn. If this was on TV, it would have that E/I logo on Saturday mornings. Educational/informational, not just entertainment. Anyways, so yeah, I hope you had a good time this week. Hope you had a good time watching this, and I hope to see you next Monday. Thank you all so much for watching. You're the best. Thank you. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is such a fun thing to do, and I hope you have fun watching this, because I sure as hell have fun making it. Bye, everybody. Have a good night.